You right there? You need some cuddles, you don't want to go riding, hey? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming for you guys a video all about Fletch. I thought it would be fun to sort of tell you guys a little bit more about his background and some of the things that are like interesting about him and his silly little personality. And then I will also be answering all of your questions from Instagram. If today there are some questions that I don't answer that you guys still really would like to know about Fletch, then feel free to comment them down below. And then maybe I'll do like a round 2 video and answer some more of your guys' questions. He's trying to eat. Hey! Rude. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. So let's start with the basics. This is Fletcher. For anyone who didn't know, I call him Fletch. I have owned him for roughly 3 years now, and he is 9 years old. He's turning 10 at the end of this year. He is 16-1, so a little bit on the small side than other horses I've owned before. So Fletcher is a thoroughbred, for any of you who didn't know. He is off the track, which basically means he did race. He had 13 starts in total, but honestly was just not very fast, so that did not last very long. The guy I bought him from was his owner, but also his trainer, so he had like a small racehorse business. He had a couple of racehorses on the go, and when he realised that Fletch was too slow, he actually retired him as a leisure horse. So I think he'd been off the track for like a couple of months. They tried to do some English riding with him, like taking him out to their local clubs and things like that. Fletch is quite an anxious horse, and I think that they just didn't really have the patience for him. He just wanted something really relaxed that he could take out and have fun with, and Fletch just needed more work, more time, and he wasn't willing to put that in, so that's why I put him up for sale. So when I went and bought him, he essentially had no experience. Like, he'd had like a handful of rides out, but he hadn't really had any proper education since coming off the track. This is a photo of his sire. I think he's absolutely stunning, and you can really see some similarities between the two of them. Even though Fletch didn't have much success on the racetrack, his sire, Diatribe, actually won the Caulfield Cup. So I think they had really high hopes for Fletch, but unfortunately, or fortunately for me, he didn't work out as a racehorse. And this is a photo of Fletcher's dam. Her name is Glamour Miss, which I think is such a beautiful name. You can definitely see where Fletch got his colouring from. So if you weren't not aware, I do event Fletch. As of last season, we were competing at EA 90, but because of the break that he's had because of his fence jumping incident, he's lost a bit of fitness. So we'll probably start at EA 80. In terms of how long we've been competing, we've competed like minimally, I would say, for the last 2 seasons, just because for me my work life has been super busy, so I haven't always had enough time to prep him enough to get out to comps. But I really want to like ramp it up this season and get out to like a lot more competitions. And if I go out and compete more, that means I can do more show vlog videos for you guys, so I think it'd be really good. And in terms of what Fletch and I are working on right at the moment, for a lot of you, if you've been watching my vlogs and stuff like that, you would know that he injured himself jumping the fence. It's a long story, you can watch the vlog about it if you want to know more. So for the last few weeks, he's been back in work fairly solidly. So honestly, I'm just working on all of the basics with him again, just to get him in the right frame of mind to be competing. And then I would just say I'm also focusing on his fitness and conditioning and just making sure that he's feeling 100%. What is your favourite personality trait that Fletch has? For sure, my favourite personality trait is how sweet Fletch is. He's just such a cuddly, like, nice horse. Does Fletch have any silly or out of the ordinary habits? I don't know if this is a habit, but he does it all the time, so I guess maybe it is a silly habit. Fletch is really good at getting really dirty in weird places. Like, he constantly gets dirt in, I'm gonna say his armpits, but like under his legs, and I have to make sure I clean in there like every single time before I ride. And the other thing is he's really good at getting like literal tree parts in his tail, and then I have to like pick them out every time I get him out, no matter what, without fail. I don't know if this is a silly habit, but it's a really good, helpful habit. Fletch is really good at picking up his feet, and he like picks them up before I even ask, and I literally have never had a horse like that. How much of his training have you done? Pretty much all of it, I guess. Like, in terms of, I've never sent Fletch to the breakers or had a trainer come in and ride him or anything like that. I've actually owned a few ex-race horses, so at this point I feel pretty comfortable bringing one on. That being said though, I definitely had like a lot of lessons, especially in the early days, to really help me bring Fletch along. What are some of the things that Fletch doesn't like? This is easy. Fletch's #1 dislike is his ears being touched or like having clippers behind his ears. Hence the average line work by me on his clip just behind his ears. When I got him, he was quite head shy. Occasionally when he gets a little bit anxious, he reverts back to that sort of head shy mentality, but it's 100% improved since I got him. Does he have a horse friend? No, he doesn't. He is like a super independent horse. It's so funny, but he never really bonds to any horse 100%. Don't get me wrong, he loves to see other horses and know they're around, but he's never bonded to like one horse particularly, which is actually really good because it means he never calls out or gets stressed when like a horse leaves. Has he ever gotten sick? He hasn't actually gotten sick. Honestly, the fence jumping incident was the first time anything major has ever happened, and touch wood, hopefully the last. How many times a week do I ride Fletch? I aim to ride 4 to 5 times a week, but like if work for me is super crazy and I know I don't have any major comps coming up, then I might ride just 3 times a week. How high have we jumped? The highest we've jumped was 1.20 m, but that was in a grid. I've probably jumped about 1.15 m freestanding. I actually really want to free jump him because I never have before. I want to see how high he can jump without my fat ass like restricting him. Have I fallen off him, and if so, what happened? I've only fallen off him once, thank God. The fall was one of those classic kind of super unexciting ones where like I committed to going over the jump and Fletch last minute decided he wasn't going to do it, and so like I went one way and he went the other and it was actually pretty funny and kind of embarrassing because I was at a competition and I was actually like mid cross country course when it happened, and I'd never fallen off Fletch, and I think he was in shock. He like looked at me and didn't understand why I was on the ground and then proceeded to like gallop away. But he galloped all the way to the finish line and let the vets check him, which I thought was hilarious. How did you know Fletch was the one? So I'm actually very picky when it comes to buying horses, and not in the way that I'm like it needs to have perfect conformation or be the ultimate event horse or the horse that can jump the biggest or do the most stunning dressage test. I just want to find a horse that suits me. At the end of the day, I'm not a professional rider and this is my hobby, so if I don't have a horse that I love and can have fun with, then what's the point? How I knew Fletch was like the one was, first up, he was just stunning, and straight away I could just tell that he had a very sweet nature, which was something I was looking for. I think the closer for me was that I rode him for the first time. He hadn't been ridden in months and he was like so well behaved considering the conditions that we rode in. I was riding him in an arena that was full of water and it was super slippery. He hadn't been ridden in months. He had no education. He was essentially still like a racehorse at this point because he really hadn't had much else. And there were other horses bolting around the paddocks right by the arena and he just put up with the whole lot. And don't get me wrong, he was 10th and I was like, wow, he needs a ton of education. But I just knew from the way he took everything in his stride that he just had such a good little personality. What aspect of riding is he best at? His best discipline has to be cross country for sure. He finds the galloping so easy, he's always so keen and he really draws into the fences. I think the athletic challenge of cross country is built for thoroughbreds. I think most thoroughbreds take really well to cross country and it tends to be their strength. Just in general, they're such an athletic breed and I know that Fletch just like eats up the course. Even at my last event, when I went through the vet check at the end of the cross country, the vet literally said to me that he reckoned Fletch could go around again because his heart rate was so low. And it's not like I do anything crazily extra to keep Fletch that fit. He's just naturally so athletic and it's so easy for him. How do you keep the balance between work life and Fletch? Do you have a routine? How do you manage your goals and training? Honestly, sometimes I feel like I don't have any balance whatsoever. It is really challenging to maintain a balance between your work and your life. I do work full time and it does make it really difficult sometimes, especially in winter when it's like dark by the time I get down to Fletch. But honestly, and especially lately, I just try to be really organized. I have like a rotating wardrobe in my car. Do you know what I mean? Like an outfit for everything. I've got riding clothes in there, I've got work clothes, I've got gym clothes. And also I'll always have snacks on myself so that I can like eat as I'm driving to like save time. I honestly just try to stay like on the go all the time because the minute I sit down I get nothing done. And something I've only done very recently that seems to be helping a lot is I literally wrote myself out a schedule. So it's like on a Monday night I go to gym, on a Tuesday I ride, on Wednesday I have a break night. And And I know it sounds over the top, but it honestly is really hard to fit in everything, and that has just helped heaps. Does he have a favourite thing to do? Anything unusual? Fletch will just chew or grab anything that you leave too close to him, and that's why I never put his rugs down near him or leave any brushes within his reach. Why is he branded? What do the numbers on his shoulder mean? A lot of you guys have asked this. In Australia, it's like the norm for studs to brand racehorses when they're foaled. So if you didn't know, the brand actually reflects the year the horse was born. So Fletch has a 7, so he was born in 2007. And the number above that will tell you what number foal they were that year. So Fletch was the 11th foal born in that season. Is Fletch your first horse? No, he's actually my 10th horse, I worked out. What is my favourite piece of tack on Fletch? I would say anything with blue in it, I love on Fletch. At the moment though, it's definitely the Equestrian Stockholm jump pad. I think it is stunning. Have you had any difficult times with Fletch where you weren't sure what to do? Oh my god, definitely. Like literally countless times. I feel like every rider has these moments, and my advice is just go find like an expert, a vet, an instructor who can help you. What are your future plans / endeavours for the equestrian world? Short-term goals, I really want to focus on just getting Fletch back to the fit horse he was last season before his injury, and also to get him to relax more when we go to outings. My long-term goal has to be getting Fletch to pre-novice level eventing. I'm hoping it's something we can achieve by the end of this season, but it may not be. We may not get to as many comps as I hope, but that's definitely like my main goal. Number 2 is that I really want to win a dressage test on Fletch, which I know sounds really basic, but I've always struggled with him a bit with dressage because he gets so tense when we go out, and because dressage is always first up, that's when he's the most nervous, and it always affects our score. So if I could win a dressage test, then I would know that we've worked through a lot of those issues. It would be like symbolic. And thirdly, I would love to be a full-time equestrian YouTuber / owner of some kind of equestrian retail business. That is goals for me. Like that is the end goal. And the number 1 question that I get about Fletch on YouTube and on Instagram, what is that scar / patch / marking on his butt? It's so funny, but this is literally the number 1 question that I get from all of you guys. So Fletcher's markings are pretty unique, as a lot of you guys have pointed out. So the last owner said it was a birthmark, and a vet did confirm to me that it could be a birthmark. I thought it might have been scarring from maybe like a fungal infection, because fungal infections usually have a similar pattern, but I think it might actually be something called a somatic mutation. So I don't know if any of you guys have seen this photo floating around the internet recently of this horse, but its markings are extremely similar to Fletch, and what it's got is called a somatic mutation. It's basically like a group of cells, for whatever reason, will create a different color patch of coat than the regular cells. So I hope that answers your guys' question somewhat, but basically I don't 100% know what it is, but those are our 3 best guesses. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at han.equestrian. Thanks for watching.